Yes, one Mick here. Stringy bark. See, it pulls off like string. Stringy bark. Apparently, messmate. Just show you that. Dingoes. Wild dogs, actually. Not a lot of purebreds around. They've crossbred. Next door neighbour. He was working on his yards a month ago. Spun around. Heard a noise. Spun around. 4 full-size dingoes beside him, just behind him, about 10 yards, roughly 10 metres. 10 yards is a bit less than 10 metres. Dingoes here everywhere. You can hear them calling out of the night. They howl. But we've got wild dogs here now, extremely dangerous. And the more use they get of humans, the less feared they become. The dog that he shot, because you've got to have your gun on you here at all times, because don't ever let anyone tell you that dingoes will not attack you. They will attack you. Have a look at Fraser Island. Have a look at, there was an attack on a school kid in the last couple of weeks. Fraser Island's now known as Gari. So the Aboriginal name's Gari, the European name's Fraser. I'd known as Fraser all my life. It's Fraser to me. I have no problem with calling it Gari too, because the Aboriginals were here first. They were the originals. There's no doubt about that. Although the originals, whether there was humans here or older than humans like Neanderthals here, I don't know. Wouldn't have a clue. You'd have to research it. I know the Moriori, there was Moriori in New Zealand. Google them, Moriori, they were there before the Maori and the white man. I'm puffing here because I'm going to go and sit down. I'm not feeling 100%, but I just want to do this. Picked up a carriel for me Sami, and I'll be able to cut firewood on that, chainsaws, firewood, so on and so forth. And it's just easier having everything on here and me just bringing timber up to cut to my firewood splitter that I'm going to buy and have it set up here so I can just load it straight out of there. It'll be set up around here somewhere. Get some sort of shade up so I can be out of the weather when I'm doing it. But anyhow, here we go. I've just got parts ordered for this, the big girl. So I'll be happy to have her back on track, but I've been fiddling around there and I ain't doing too much. I'm doing nothing today actually. Got the F-truck up. I was going to change the water. Put a thermostat in. I think she's minus the thermostat because she runs too cool. She performs beautifully, the big girl. But, yeah, but anyhow, getting back to these dingoes. Back to the dingoes. There's my big dingoes. Listen to my 2 great big hounds, Frank and Harry. Now, I should say ours, not mine. Carl's and mine. There's our tiny little clothesline there. Look at that. That's bloody from Aldi. And that, it's as cheap as. It's a bloody little ripper for hanging your jocks and your singlets and stuff like that. And Carl's jocks and bras and whatever else. G-bangers. Oh, no, just joking. And there's our other little bush clothesline, just strung between that grey gum there and that little apple gum. But yeah, so I was going to drop the water out of this big girl and change it and put a thermostat in it, but to be honest with you, I don't think I'm going to do it today. I'm not feeling good. Feeling very ordinary. And I do see that she's got plenty of cooling in them. But these dingoes now, well, not so much dingoes, I think they're more flighty humans, but the wild dogs, because dogs have been around humans for thousands of years. Harry, shut up. And they will have a crack at you. Many years ago, I think I've told you the story. It's been windy. Oh, just before I go, it's been windy. I've been picking up stuff this morning, just steady. Little limbs blowing down. So my Uncle Albert's passed away probably 10 years ago or thereabouts. My grandfather Bogle, and he was Albert Bogle, and there was Albert Bogle Jr. or Boy. He was referred to as Boy by the family when he was young. I think our family have always had a fair fascination with having sons in the Bogle side. I think in the Swenson side, Dad always loved having daughters. I think he enjoyed his sons, but I think he really enjoyed having daughters. But that's whoever, whatever. But Uncle Albert was telling me when he was still alive, and sometimes I used to think to myself, is he letting the truth get in the way of a good story? Or what? You know that old saying, never let the truth get in the way of a good story? But no, I couldn't verify it with my grandfather, because my grandfather died when Mark and I were twins, Mark. So I bought this piece of land off, Carl's and I bought this land off. Granddad Vogel died when we were born on the same day as he did, 23rd December. We were born in 1962, and so was Granddad, except 1920 something. And I might have been high teens, because he was going to serve in World War I, except he had an aneurysm, and that put him out ever for going into war. He was ready to be shipped and he had an aneurysm, so it was the end of his warring days over. And he was lucky because all the troops that went to New Guinea to evacuate on the hospital ship HMAS Centaur, it was sunk off Morton Island, 60 or 80 kilometres off Morton Island by the Japanese. And apparently that was the ship my granddad was heading out in. They were all killed, a whole lot of them. So whether that's true, I don't know, but I just heard that story not long ago. But dingoes, getting back to these dingoes, they will, wild dogs, we shouldn't say dingoes, but wild dingoes will too, but they're more flighty around humans, but they will have a crack. And the wild dogs, the one that Barry, your neighbour, shot the other day, and he said he turned around and heard there was 4 full-sized wild dogs behind him. And they've been attacking his calves and his cows. Kill calves like there's no tomorrow, kill sheep, big sheep, and they go straight and eat the liver and the kidneys out. That's the first thing they go for. So they'll be still alive and they'll be eating the kidneys and the livers out of them. That's the dingoes, as I understand. But I can't say for the wild dogs, and that's a story I've heard. Whether it's correct, I'm not sure, but trust me, I've seen the aftermath at the abattoirs where I worked of about 30 lamb torn to pieces with their all asses eaten out, so that tells me it's probably correct. That was in the early 80s. He met his mate and my brother shot him with a 243 at about 100 metres, pretty well cut him in half. That wasn't a wild dog, that was a dingo. But these things will have attack you, no doubt, both of them. The wild dogs probably more so, for the simple reason. What was I looking at just then? I seen on the lens. Is that gee, where did that go? Thought it was an eagle. Thought it might have went straight behind that big tall tree there, but just seen it through the lens of the camera. But I looked up, I can't see it. But anyhow, what happened was my uncle was telling me that they had a timber cutter. My grandfather and him knew him, and 10 dingoes put him up the tree overnight. He was up a tree and he had to spend the night up there. They were just at the bottom of the tree waiting for him to come down, but he waited them out. Back then, no mobile phones, we're talking 1960s here, and that was just over that way, about 60 kilometres, a place called Killarney. So that's where my grandfather and Albert, boy, the young fella, done a lot of timber cutting. Beautiful spot. But, and I might say, a renewable resource. So Quentin, I'll just say his name's Quentin, that's his real name, first name. And I won't say his last name through respect to the family, but we'll just say his first name was Quentin. He was a 13 or a 14-year-old. Was killed over at Fraser Island probably 15 years ago, attacked and killed. Now, I've seen pictures of the young lad, but don't know how big he was. He was 13 or 14, but he was attacked and killed. That's Fraser Island, now Gari. And also, just within the last week, or 2 weeks, a woman was attacked. No, sorry, I think that was a kid. Young kid was attacked again on Fraser. We'll just call it Fraser because that's what I know it is, but Gari. And about this time last year, or just leading into the last summer just gone, there there was a lady attacked. She was running on the beach in the morning, and actually a young fellow I know, his mum, they come driving down the beach, and the two dingoes had her in the water, had her around the throat, and they all but had her drowned when they come along. So yeah, don't ever let anyone tell you that a dingo didn't take a Zaria Chamberlain, because trust me, that would have just looked at a Zaria as a small feed. She was a little bub and terrible, and but that's what happens. And now, it'd be like saying a bear wouldn't attack you and kill you. I'm not saying it's anywhere near as dangerous as a bear, but still extremely dangerous. There's 10 minutes gone. I can just talk about topics and what I know are topics, and I can just go on and on and on. None of this is read off a card or anything, as you know, from a bit of swapping and changing. But look, I'm going to leave it at that. Absolutely stunning day here today. I'm not feeling that real good, so I'm going back into bed. We're at about a bit after midday. Only that, Swano Mick from Macali. You all have a lovely day, and I hope I start feeling better soon, because I've got chainsawing to do and I've got tractors to fix. Got to put that front hub back on. Parts are on the way. Swano Mick from this beautiful, beautiful spot in New South Wales. Stunningly blue, beautiful blue sky today, and as clear as and as windy last night. Swano Mick out. Swano Mick out.